It's been a disappointing last few seasons for Clemson football, but there is reason for optimism as you look to 2024. I'm going to go through each game on the schedule, give you my predictions, but first, just some thoughts on this Clemson team. So we'll start with we're going to start with the defensive side. This is a front seven that should be really, really good. Potentially the best front seven in the ACC. Now the secondary is a bit of a concern. I don't think they're going to be great there, but they should be decent. And then on the offensive side, so this is where I think this team is going to be different this year. I just feel like Cade Klubnik, now with another year under his belt, and in year two of the Garrett Riley system, which I think that's going to be a key for him and this entire offense. It's year two in this system, and Garrett Riley is a proven offensive play caller who's had success before he came to Clemson. I know this offense was not great last year, but I think they're going to take some big steps forward. I think if they can stay healthy at wide receiver, that'll be big. They've had a lot of injuries there. They got some good freshmen coming in. And so I think this passing game is just going to be totally different. The offensive line should be good. The run game, really, it depends on Phil Maffa and him staying healthy because they don't have a lot behind him. So that's a bit of a concern. But if he can stay healthy, and that's going to be a big key. When you look at this Clemson team and what they have not done with the transfer portal, not bringing in transfers, it really, I think, lowers their depth more than anything because they have so many young guys in backup roles. And so if they have a lot of injuries, it could be a really bad season for Clemson. But if they can stay healthy, they could win the ACC. So it's hard to predict. Obviously, you can't predict injuries, but I think this team has a chance to be right there. I think they have a chance to be right there at the end of the season and a chance to maybe win the ACC. So let's just go through and look at the schedule first. And this is that schedule. You see Vegas, they've got them at 9.5 wins. So 9-3, 10-2, the most likely scenario for Clemson, according to Vegas. Of course, they play Georgia and South Carolina in the non-conference. We'll start with the Georgia game. This game will be on August 31st. A neutral site game in Atlanta, but basically a home game for Georgia. Although it's not going to be quite like playing in Athens. There will be Clemson fans there, but it will, again, be an advantage for Georgia, no doubt about it. You look at these two teams, Georgia's just a better team. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say. Georgia is just better at pretty much every area. This is an elite team. Yes, I think Clemson's going to be a solid team, but they're not going to be an elite team. They're not going to be on that Georgia level. You look at their secondary, I think that's going to be a big problem. I think Georgia has a lot of success throwing the football in this game. Probably not a real high-scoring game. I think Clemson hangs around, but I think, it's going to be more like a 24-10 type game. I think Clemson's going to struggle to score just because this Georgia defense is going to be so good, like it always is. And so, yeah, I think this game's not super close, but I don't think it's a blowout. I think Georgia wins, though. Clemson starts off 0-1. They play App State the next week, September 7th at home, a team that, of course, is known for knocking off some big names in the past. They've done it in the past, but, again, you look at these two teams this year. The one thing you worry about is Clemson. Are they beat up after playing a physical game against Georgia? Do they come into this game maybe with their confidence a little bit lower after potentially losing pretty badly to Georgia? It's hard to say, and I think App State probably hangs around in this game. They're one of the better group of 5 teams, and so they probably hang around in this game, but I think Clemson will come through. I really expect Cade Klubnik to take some steps forward this year. He's got a lot of talent, and it's just, it's almost like he tries to make too many plays. I think with another year in the offseason, he's really going to improve in that. And I think he's going to come through big for them and be able to pull off some close games. That was the thing last year. They lost some close games. If they can flip that around, they got a chance, again, to have a really good season. The next week, they'll play NC State on September 21st. They've got a great receiver there. They got Grayson McCall at quarterback. So that's going to be a matchup there. Can they slow down this passing attack? I don't know if NC State has enough guys, though. Maybe Clemson's able to kind of slow them down just because there aren't a lot of options at wide receiver for NC State. It's an NC State team that lost a lot last year from last year's team, but they do a really good job at kind of rebuilding, and they've usually got that next wave of players ready to go, developing. They do a great job of developing there at NC State. So this is going to be a good team. I think this game being in Death Valley will make the difference, though. I think Clemson playing at home wins a close one against NC State. Again, I think Cade Klubnik's going to come through in those key moments, and their defense, especially their front seven, they'll play great at home. Next week, they've got Stanford. This will be on September 28th. Actually, a bye week in between App State and NC State, so that's another reason why I feel pretty good about the NC State game. They have a bye week before that. But yeah, Stanford here on the 28th. Just not a great team. I think Clemson's able to roll in this one. And you don't want to look ahead to Florida State, and that could cost them if they do. But I think they'll be focused in for Stanford, and I think they win that game. So Florida State is an interesting game here. They play them on the road. Florida State's, I think, going to be a really run-heavy team on offense. I think this team struggles to throw the football this year. They just don't have any proven pass catchers. I'm not sold on DJ Uiagalelei. Also, I want to talk about interesting. How about him playing his old team in Clemson? And so I think this is a low-scoring game. I think both defenses will step up in this one. Probably not a lot of points, but the revenge factor is there for Clemson. I think they're the team that has a little bit more motivated in this one. They lost a close game last year. I think they come through and they win this game. So I've got them actually beating Florida State. I don't think a lot of people are going to be picking that, especially on the road, but I'm going with it. And then Wake Forest the next week on October the 12th on the road, right after Florida State. Potential letdown game. Wake Forest, a team that's going to be able to throw the football, so they could cause Clemson some trouble in this game. But I think the defense and the run game, they kind of wear down Wake Forest. They're better at the line of scrimmage, and they wind up winning this one. But pretty close. The next week they'll play Virginia on the 19th at home. A Virginia team that, I think they're headed in the right direction, but they're not ready to win a game like this, especially in Death Valley. I think Clemson's able to win this one. Then you've got Louisville on the 2nd of November. Actually, a bye week in between these two games. Again, another home game. So you got NC State at home. You got Louisville at home. Those are some big games there in Clemson. I don't know if Louisville's going to have enough weapons on offense to really challenge this Clemson defense. Maybe this one's kind of close, similar to that NC State game, but I do think Clemson is able to get the W here in this one. They'll play Virginia Tech next on November the 9th. And this is a game that I think a lot of people are going to pick Virginia Tech to win. A lot of people are high on Virginia Tech. They're going to have a really good defense. When I look at this roster, I just don't think it's on the level of the top teams in the ACC. And I think the offense is going to struggle against this Clemson defense. So I'm expecting a low-scoring game. And, again, not a lot of points. Home field advantage for Virginia Tech, definitely going to help them out and give them a chance. But I think Clemson just has a little bit more on offense. They're able to score just enough. I think it's a low-scoring game, maybe like a 16-13 type game. But I think Clemson's able to go on the road and get a big win here over Virginia Tech. They'll play Pittsburgh the next week on November 16th. This program is a mess right now. Clemson, I think, rolls in this one, and then the Citadel should be a win as well. And then they close things out with South Carolina on November 30th at home. South Carolina team that, it's a rivalry game. I expect it to be competitive this year. I don't think Clemson blows them out, but they're playing at home. They're going to have a lot to play for. You do wonder about the pressure a little bit getting to Clemson here in a game like this. I don't know if South Carolina, again, has the type of offense to challenge Clemson's defense. I think Clemson's able to score enough to win. So I've got them going 11-1, undefeated in the ACC, so obviously making it to the ACC championship. And again, when I look at this schedule, and I look at this, first of all, it's Clemson defense. If you're going to beat Clemson, I think you're going to have to be able to throw the football. And there's just not a lot of teams on their schedule that are going to be great in the pass game, at least looking at it right now. You got Wake Forest. That's probably one of the better passing teams on the schedule. And that's about it. Again, if Florida State, they could prove me wrong. They could have some receivers step up. DJ Uiagalelei could play great. If that's the case, Florida State probably wins that game. So I could see them losing maybe a second game, but I really feel like this team's going to be able to get to 10-2 or 11-1. Not beating Georgia, but I think they beat everyone else. Virginia Tech's obviously going to be a tough one, but again, I've got Clemson kind of bouncing back this year and having a really good year, going 11-1. What are your thoughts on this team? Your predictions? Let me know down in the comments below.